Okay, so in this third video, we're going to be looking at how to connect our microcontroller, our Pi Pico W up to a breadboard. And a breadboard is just a way to make quick electrical connections by inserting wires into this board that has a bunch of holes. And all of these holes are wired up in a particular way that I'm going to explain in this video so you understand how you can connect things together. So in Wokwi, we actually have a breadboard that we can import, and you can scroll down and find it. We're going to be using a half breadboard, or you can, in the search window, just type bread and it'll start to pull it up, and we can import a half breadboard. So I'm going to leave my breadboard in this orientation, and I'm going to rotate my Pi Pico so that it has the USB connection at the end of my board right here. And the way that I do that is I click on my Pi Pico and I just hit R. And if you just keep hitting R, it'll toggle the rotation of the Pico around. So I want it like this. Now, first up, I'm going to explain how all the pins or the holes on a breadboard are connected together. On the outside edges, you'll see here, there are two special rows or columns, however you want to think about it. There's the plus and a red line connecting them in between. And what that means is that all of these pins, these 5 right here, these 5, these 5, these 5, and these 5, are all electrically connected together. So if I plug a wire in here and plug a wire in here, it's just like those two wires are connected together, and it's one wire. Okay? Same with the negative rail here. The negative rail also has a connection across all of these pins. And then this side is a separate rail for positive and for negative. Now there's nothing that makes this actually be positive and this be negative. It just has a label so that if you want to connect a power supply, you can plug the positive in here, the negative in here, and it's easy to keep up with which one's which is really important because you don't want to connect things up, hook things up backwards. Then all of these pins here are also connected together in a special way. It's connected by these rows. So you can see, or columns, this column number 1 has 5 pins. All 5 of these pins are connected together. Column 2, all 5 of these pins are connected together. So that means if I put an LED in with the anode here and the cathode here, or let's say the cathode here and the anode here, then that means that I would want to connect any of these other 4 pins. So I'm going to plug in, I'm going to use 2 of those pins up. This column has 4 empty pins, so I could connect a wire from any 4 of these pins over to the negative, since this is the cathode, and I want to connect it to the negative. And what that does is that connects that cathode pin to my negative rail. Okay? So we need to put our microcontroller board on our breadboard. So I'm going to have it so that this pin right here, GP0, is on column 30. And you can see it turned green when it snapped into place. So GP0 is on column 30. The one thing I didn't mention is that these 5 are not connected to these 5 here. These are separate. They're separated by this middle piece right here. So this pin is connected to 2 pins under the board that we can't access because they're covered up by the board that are right underneath this column. And then it's also connected to this pin and this pin. So if we need to connect something to GP0, we can just plug in a wire into 30A or 30B. Both of those pins, both of those holes are going to be connected to GP0. All right, so once we've done this, now we can start to wire things up. So I'm going to insert an LED, and I will throw it in like that. Okay. So this is my cathode, and it needs to connect to a negative, and this is my anode. You know, I'm going to rotate this around and put it down here so that I've got more space to show you how to wire it up. So now in this case, this is my anode, and this is my cathode. So you just need to see how you're wiring it up. So cathode, C minus, that's negative. I'm going to connect that over to my negative rail, and I'm going to change that to be black. And I'm going to come over here to my ground, and I'm going to connect my ground to my negative rail, just like that. So now this pin is connected to this whole column, so it's connected to the negative, and all of these are connected together so that that is now connected to my ground. So I now have my cathode connected to my ground. Now I want to connect my anode. So in this case, I'm not going to connect it to my positive rail. I'm going to connect my anode directly to pin 0. So I'm going to click here, come up, go over, and come down to there. And I'm going to change that color since it's my red LED. Let's have that pin be red. So I can check anode goes to my positive output pin. Cathode, negative, goes to my negative rail that's connected to ground. All right, let's jump over to my code. So I'm going to write everything again from machine import capital P pin, and let's do from time import sleep. Now let's use this opportunity to practice writing our code again. So I'm going to create an LED object or a variable, and I'm going to instantiate my pin, or create an instance of my pin class, and I'm going to use pin 0, and it is an output pin. And then I'm going to do a while true loop. I'm just going to make it flash, and I'm going to do LED dot toggle. So if it's off, it'll turn on, and then I'll sleep for 1 second. So if it's off, it'll turn on and wait a second, and then it'll turn it off, and it'll just keep running this loop over and over and over again. This is a shorter way of doing those loops instead of doing on and off methods. So let's run it. And there we go. We can see that we have wired up our LED on a breadboard correctly. So what I'd like for you to do is add in 2 more LEDs and try to make it so that it's like the stoplight where your lights flash. Know that you cannot put, and I'll show you right here, if I've got my yellow LED that I want to add in, where would I put it? I need to make sure that I put it in 2 pins, two columns that haven't been used yet. So I'm going to rotate it with my R key, throw it there. Here is my cathode. I can connect my cathode over to ground, change my color to black, have my anode, have it come over, and let's connect it to this pin right here. So it's going from this pin on my anode to this pin on pin 1. So let's copy that. Let's change this to LED. Let's do red LED, and let's do yellow LED, and we'll change this to while true, red toggle, sleep, and then we will paste that and do yellow LED toggle. And that did not work because I did not change my pin. Pin 1, there we go. So it toggles the red on, toggles the yellow on, toggles the red off, toggles the yellow off. All right, so try making your code work. Add in another LED, practice wiring it up, and see if you can get that to work. And I'll see you in the next video where we're going to start using our actual Pi Picos in class and hooking them up on our breadboard.